Vroom, 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 vroom. Honk, honk. Get in, losers. We're going struggling. Vroom, 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 vroom. Hello, friends, and welcome to another Ride in the Struggle Bus, where we will send a triangle. So this is it, our final game of the Providence Go Spring Tournament. And if you have been following along with the previous 3 videos, you'll know that we are 3-0, so we are running hot. We have beaten a 1K, another 1K, and then a 2K player, and we'll just have to see who I get paired up in this round. I was hoping to be able to be paired against some stronger players. I mean, it would be nice to also just get, an easier game in the final rounds, but that is not what I was expecting, and I do want to play against stronger players, so hopefully we get the opportunity to do that. And how fantastic would it be if we end up winning 4-0? I think that would be a great ending to this. So let's get into the game, meet our opponent, and see how the game went. Okay, so here we are. We are going to start this final round. And I did get to play against a 1-dan, which was something that I was hoping for. Also, I realized after the tournament that this is somebody who I've played quite a bit on KGS years ago when I used to play there. So that was kind of nice as well. So anyway, we get to play against a 1-dan. And so since I was a 2K going into the event, obviously I got white with a Comey of 7.5, which I thought was surprising. I thought I would probably, get black this game. But white is what we got, but that is okay. I am comfortable with both colors. And going in, games like this where you're playing against stronger players, you just got to stay cool, right? Play your game, don't play theirs. Just play solidly and, try not to get blown out. And so, what the is this? Well, it's going to be one of those games, isn't it? But remember, just keep your cool. I'm sure that this will be just a perfectly reasonable game, and so let's see how it goes. So obviously an unorthodox opening from our friend here, but that is perfectly fine. So starting here, I had to figure out, do I want to approach the bottom left? Did I want to approach the top left? And I decided to approach the top left, just to break up any potential Moyo happenings here. Again, I've mentioned in previous videos that I'm not the strongest invader, and so I try to break up any potential Moyos before they happen. And then our friend plays this far pincer, and once he played K9, I knew it was going to be a pretty aggressive game, and that there were going to be lots of interesting moves, and so we get that pretty early in this one. And I kind of mess up whatever variation should be here. And this is a mistake from black, but I don't follow it up correctly. This is an example, so this is something that I teach frequently, which is if you play in a corner variation and you're unhappy with the result, then you go back and you study the Joseki afterwards and see where things went wrong. And so I've done that. I was kind of just treating this as the normal variation, as if black had done the normal pincer. And I figured, hey, if it works with this stone being here, it should obviously work with that stone being there. But that's really not the case here. Here we really should be Atariing this stone and then descending here. What this does is it threatens to kill these 2 stones. If we get C14, these 2 stones die. And so black would need to protect, and we can protect here. And then whatever black does, we can then just descend and capture these 2 stones. And this is a really fantastic result for white. Unfortunately, that is not the way it went in the game, which is a little embarrassing because I spent a real long time on this whole sequence, probably minutes per turn, trying to figure out the best way to go. And this is the best I could come up with, which isn't terrible, but it already feels like we're a little behind. And it's only been 1 corner. So that doesn't bode very well. But going over what we decided to do here, this threatens to kill the C16 stones, and so we Atari, and then I just threw in to see if I could get the capture, and then at this point in time, there's really no point in playing a move like this because this isn't an eye. Black isn't going to protect that. Black is going to do something like this or this. And so I just decided to go get some kind of outside strength. But this looks a lot better for black than it does for white, especially since black gets Sente. So black approaches, we back off. Black does the attachment variation, nothing too crazy here. And then I decide to go extend from the top right corner. I could have approached the bottom left corner or extend the top right. And at this point, I decided that extending up here was probably a little better. I'm not going to lie, part of it was I didn't want anything too crazy going on here with the variation that I wouldn't be familiar with, especially with all these stones here. So I didn't think it was quite time to jump in there. But then he responds here, and now it just feels like the time that we really need to do something about this. If black starts getting more stones in here, it's going to be that much more difficult, right? If we go play something like this and black gets a move like this, it's going to be really, really, really hard to effectively reduce that. So I decided now was the time to go in. This will surprise nobody, but our friends played the pincer. But this is just the expected move anyway, because we've got a bunch of potential on the bottom side. So it makes sense that black just wants to work with that potential. I decided to do the lean here. I wasn't going to back down from any fights. I did expect black to play the push and cut variation. But surprisingly, that's not what he did. He decided to just push. We pushed. He jumped. I pushed one more time. And then I went and played a counter pincer. Apparently, this one was a little too aggressive when I looked at the game afterwards with AI, but this I don't get dinged too hard for this one. But AI wanted me to play something a little safer, either G5 or H5. But I wanted to play a little more forceful. Black decides to jump out, and now that we're getting a little surrounded, we need to start working with some weaknesses here to get some strength on the inside. This was the move I was expecting him to play, and so I had looked at potential options here. We could look to keep on running, but I'm not sure what that gets us. Also, it's running straight towards his K9 stone. We don't want to turn those into really good moves quite yet. So I ended up playing here just to be able to get some forcing moves to get some strength to help the stone. So black obviously blocks, and then I cut here. Black Ataris, we descend, which threatens to kill these two stones. I take the Atari, and so these stones, they're not going to live, but it creates some weaknesses here that we can potentially work with to help get the strength of this stone. And as this stone gets stronger, these two stones are going to get weaker. But you can tell, this is going to be a very fighty game all the way through. We started with the fights, and it just never stops. This game is just all fighting, which is a lot of fun. So here, we need to start working with this stone, getting it stronger, trying to make these stones weaker. That's kind of the goal with all of these moves. I decided to go and play this attachment. It threatens to connect underneath, and also blocks black's line of sight from the L3 stone. And so our friend responded just by descending, and I decided to play here, which threatens the cut, threatens the Hane on top. And what's interesting about the cut is if black just does something like this, we have a Ko. And I'm willing to take a Ko this early in the game because we have a lot of Ko threats. We've got, we can consider pushing through C6. We can consider moves over here to kill this stone, which would then make these stones alive, which means black would then have to capture this stone to live in the corner. So there's lots of options here, which is why I was willing to take this. Black decided to just block here. I think it probably would have been cleaner to potentially just do this to remove the liberties. But black chose to do this. I decided to turn on the outside. Black extended, and we pushed. So I'm just looking to get strength on the outside. Black's playing moves like this to help connect underneath. Again, that was kind of the intent of these moves over here, were just to get a little more, get some Aji and some opportunities to make things interesting there. So we extended, and black looks to cut. And so really we only have one option here. We have to block black blocks. And I had looked at all this, and now we can throw in and start the ko. If you guys know me at all, I love ko fights. So I wasn't going to back down from this. I was happy to take it. Black goes to connect. I turn the ko on, and black captures, starting the ko. So this seemed like a good ko for us, because if we win this ko, it's pretty good. It's a really awesome ko. So what I decided to do here was to turn on the Aji over here, and I played this move, which threatens to kill k2. If black ignores, which is what black did in the game, we get to play the Atari, and then the Atari to capture this stone. Of course, once we play this, black realized, black recognized what was going on, knows that this stone is not important, and goes and takes this Atari. So here, our outside stones are kind of in rough shape, but that's okay. I decide to take the Atari, black captures, and then I go and capture this stone. So our stones here are alive, and more importantly, these two stones are now completely cut. And we're going to get this in Sente, because black's corner is not alive yet. So black has to play here to get alive in the corner. We extend. This is just done to get one more move in Sente, because black has to play here. We get to play this, which is Sente. And then we get to play this, which is Sente. And yeah, it's an ugly shape, but we get it all in Sente, which is really nice. So what do we do with our Sente? Well, there's a few options. We could look at extending somewhere on the right side. We could look at extending somewhere on the left side. I decided to go and take this exchange first, because we're not really done here. Black extends, and we start the ko yet again. But then black just plays here, and I realize this at this point, this really isn't a ko that I'm interested in. These stones I had already considered as dead, so that's fine. And I'm saying that's fine, but it's clearly not, right? We are very clearly behind in this game now, because this corner is just huge, and we don't have enough compensation for any of this. Black's alive in the corner, so he's fine there. We have virtually 0 points with this group. We have a handful of points here. We've got some good potential here and potential in the corner, but that's really it. And black already has points in the corner, a ton of points in this corner, and then a handful of points there. So we are behind, and I was aware of this. I then decided to go and play on one of the large sides. I considered over here, but black's so strong here that it's going to be tough to really get any good development here. And so I just decided to take this side. This also puts more pressure on these two stones, and so I just thought that this was the more interesting side. But looking at it now, I do feel like a move like this was, probably more appropriate. But these aren't the decisions that cause us to lose games. So Howard also realized or decided that the top was not too interesting, but the corner was. He attached. I decided to just extend, take the corner. He pulled back, and I played the Hane, and then we made these little exchanges. Ugly shape, but it causes black to also get not the greatest shape, and we get some good strength on the outside. But of course, black can just play this move, and all of a sudden black is fully alive on the side. And yet again, black has taken some more points, and all we're doing is building potential. So I decide that the last big area is this top side, and so I want to play a nice wide move to threaten a lot of potential. We've built up some strength here. We want to play far away from that strength. We don't want to do something that's too close to the strength now, because that's not going to be enough. So we want to play these big moves that ask your opponent, are you going to let me get all of that? So here black decided to push through, and I was considering just playing the very natural feeling move, but I didn't think that was actually going to do too much for us, and I then wanted to develop the other potential on the board, which is down here. And so I decided to play here, to, again, just to build our potential here. This probably captures these stones, right? If we're looking to capture these stones, we want to do it as large as we can, right? We want to play as far away from the stones as possible. Black played this, which I thought was pretty surprising. I feel like these two stones were dead, and I feel like they're still dead. So we get this move for free, and I was pretty happy about that. And then Black played this kind of invasion reduction move, and it was at this point in time. This is this is an important thing to consider when you are behind in a game. And again, let's be clear: White is very clearly behind in this game. You need to try to find ways to get back into the game. And I saw this as an opportunity to potentially get back into this game because this stone is pretty close to my strength. And it's, there's a good chance that we can either kill the stone or attack it while developing the top. And so I go pretty hard on the attack on this stone. Pretty much seeing this as my only way to get back into this game. And so I decide to attach on the outside. We could have looked at just playing a diagonal, but that gives Black a lot of room. And so while we are attaching to a weak stone here, it's done more to limit the movement of the stone. So Black extends and we block, and Black extends and we extend. All we're trying to do now is block all of the movement that this group is doing. Black is not going to be able to get two eyes in here. I don't think Black's going to be able to get eyes around here. But we're not looking to kill this stone. If we are able to, chase it this way while we build this nice wall, all of a sudden this turns into a very large territory. So that's pretty much all I was looking for here. So Black extended, we extended, Black played here, and we played the Hane. We can't just play a move like this, because then if Black is able to get here free and build this wall now, similarly Black gets an even larger area. And so we didn't want Black to get some free moves over there. So I decided to block here. Black cuts, and we extend. I was pretty surprised by this cut. Because this lets us get ahead of this group. So Black jumps here, and I just grabbed the shape point, which is called the bamboo breaker, right? If Black plays M12, it's the bamboo joint. So we can just play here, it threatens the cut. Black has to connect with ugly shape, and so this is typically something that is good for us. So now Black can potentially attempt to connect here, right? If we do something like this, Black can just play here and connect and live, and we can't let that happen. So instead we extend here, and Black plays the Hane. We play the Hane, and Black plays this Hane. So now things are tricky, because if we try to connect here and Black plays this, it threatens to kill these 4 stones. If we do this, Black plays here, which is going to likely kill these stones. And so that isn't very fun. And if we do this, this cut is also quite dangerous. I just don't like the look of any of this. So we probably can't play either of those. But before we go and do that, we do take this one exchange. Black connects. And now we take this shape move to make sure that these stones don't die. So now Black plays here. We unfortunately cannot cut. If we cut here, this ends up being a real problem because this group will die, and we can just resign at that point in time. So we have to protect this cut, else these 4 stones die. And so I decide to protect it here, and now Black connects because now we can take the cut. So I was able to attack the stone. We let the stone live, but we got some pretty good potential here. So I felt like this was a success. I was getting really low in time, and so I wasn't able to count at this point in time. I assumed that black was still ahead, but that we had gained a little bit here. Talking about time, similar to my game with Eric, this game, since it was so fighty and complicated, I fell short on time. So I actually stopped notating pretty soon. We still have some more interesting moves here, but we don't make it too much farther before I'm unable to keep on recording the game. If I play in more tournaments, I will get a little more efficient at that. Anyway, so we have Sente now. And so what are we going to do with that Sente? Well, I think we're still behind, so we still need to be looking for opportunities to make some big things happen. I decided to play here. The goal of this is to try to cut off these two stones. That was the intent of this move. Black can't do this because we can then just take that push and then play a move like this, which will kill these three stones. So I extend, and black takes this cut, which I found to be fairly surprising. So a decision needed to be made. Was I going to continue fighting by extending here or taking this Atari? But this Atari doesn't work, right? When we get in cross-cut fights, Atarying the cutting stone very rarely works, and in this case, it just doesn't at all. And so it would have to be a move like this, but if we get in this fight and it doesn't end well, all of a sudden everything we've worked for on the top just crumbles, and it didn't feel like I had anything good here. So when black played here, I did just Atari and let black extend, and then we extended again. Basically just turning our potential into actual points, giving black some points in the center. You know, these four stones are likely going to be captured, but there's certainly still some Aji there. Black extended one more time, and we extended one more time. Black extends again, but at this point in time, we do not need to respond to this anymore. This cut does not do anything. So I decided to take the Atari. And it's interesting because this is still a ko, right? Black can, this looks like it's going to be a ladder, but or not a real ladder, because after we do this, there's the Atari here. But I'm doing this just to get strength against these two stones. So anyway, so black did choose to extend here, and I chose to play this. The reason is now this can turn this back into a very real ko again. But also if black extends, we can play, black chooses to play here, we can play this, and eventually black is going to have to capture. But maybe it's something here that we can go and play a move like this to look to capture these two stones, which means these four stones are alive, which means these four stones are dead. So that's all I was looking to do here. So going back, we play this, and black sees exactly what's going on and just plays here to capture these stones. And realistically, this is kind of black's declaration of victory here. This is black saying, I'm enough ahead that I can just play this one move, fix the last weakness I have on the board, and I have more points than you do, and I'm going to win this game. So black plays here, we do capture these three stones, and then black plays this to capture these three stones. This move might not have even been needed, but again, black is quite ahead here. I think it probably would have been cleaner just to do this, to look to kill those stones, but I don't think it matters all that much. We came back, played this to go try to secure the top more as we kind of transition into endgame, because that's kind of where we are. But the damage has been done. Black is well ahead. It's clear that he's out fighting me in a lot of the situations that are coming up. Howard's a pretty strong and scrappy fighter. And so while I do not have the rest of the game, it kind of plays out the way that the game has been playing out, which is he's eking out more potential and good exchanges, and unfortunately continues to hold his lead. We do pull back about, we do get back about 10 more points, but I believe he ended up winning by around like 29, 30 points. So it was a pretty sound beating. A little unfortunate. Obviously would have been nice to go 4-0. but it's not too surprising to lose somebody who's a few stones stronger. And at least it was a really fun game. We had a fun co. I love co fights. There were lots of fights. I do enjoy fighting, even though we lost this one. So I'm not too upset, right? We went 3-1. We beat 2 players who were ranked higher than us, lost to somebody who was 2 stones stronger than us, and we were white in the game. So hard to feel bad about that. I'm pretty happy. And so where does that leave us with this tournament? Well, we were 3-1. Tournament organizer broke it into 3 brackets. They had the Don players, the single digit Q players, and the double digit Q players. So obviously I was in the single digit Q player, and I ended up in 3rd place. There was somebody who went 4-0. There was a 5K player who went 4-0. And then there was another player who went 3-1. The tiebreakers are likely your opponent's win percentage. So basically, the opponents that you played against, how well did they do? And he played against stronger opponents than I did. And so even though we were both 3-1, he ended up getting 2nd place. But that's fine. I wasn't going there to win any prizes. I wanted to play some good games of Go, meet some fun Go playing people. We did both of those things. It was a lot of fun. I really hope I get to do it again. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little journey through this little tournament in the littlest state, which handed out the littlest trophies. Look at how cute this is. I thought this was a nice touch. He purposely got the smallest trophies that he could to represent the smallest state in the United States, good old Rhode Island. Anyway, that's where we're going to leave this one. Sorry I couldn't give you guys the 4-0. I know you wanted it. I definitely wanted it. We'll get them next time. So anyway, as per always, thanks for coming in for another ride in the struggle bus where every wheel's an empty triangle. Have a good one, guys.